What's the difference between paying myself and just using the business checking account for my personal expenses?
That's a great question. The difference is, again, you don't want to commingle your expenses with the business and your personal.
Do I need to have a business checking account? I just started my LLC.
Yes, you do. You need to separate your business income and business expenses from your personal income and expenses.
So this is not one of those times where we're used to hearing, it depends under these circumstances or those circumstances. Once I have an LLC, I have to have a business checking account.
You should have a business checking account.
Talk to me about why that is.
Two reasons. If you ever decide to sell your business, so if you grow it up to $1 million in revenue and you're making lots of money and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. If you sell your business to Ash or me or anybody else, that person's likely going to do some due diligence to make sure that the numbers that you give me and the multiples that you want are real. And so I'm going to want to see bank statements and something that is related to that shows actual third-party verification of money coming in and money going out. That's in the form of bank statements on a checking account that you don't, if it's for your business, it's a lot cleaner than showing me the personal checking account that your Netflix comes out of, that your mortgage comes out of, that your car payments come out of, that is commingled with all your personal expenses and income.
What's the benefit of having cleaner books?
It's cheaper to have us do your tax return, and it's if you ever win the lottery nobody wants to win, which is an IRS or Department of Revenue audit, you show them those expenses and income that's not commingled with your personal. Likely in those audits they'll ask for both, but you'll be able to separate them out.
Does my business checking account need to be at the same banking institution as my personal checking account?
It does not have to be, but it'll be easier for you if it is.
So in your recommendation, it's advisable to have them at the same institution?
Yes, oftentimes, so you're going to want to pay yourself. If you're a single member LLC or a Schedule C, you're just going to transfer those funds, and you don't want a day's lag or having to write checks and transferring money out of between two different banks. It's easier just to transfer the money within the same bank, and it's instantaneous, and there's no fees associated with that.
What's the difference between paying myself and just using the business checking account for my personal expenses?
That's a great question. The difference is, again, you don't want to commingle your expenses with the business and your personal that don't seem to have their own personal checking account, and they run all their Netflix and car payments and other personal expenses through their business. And so one, if you're hiring an accountant to do your bookkeeping for you, they have to account for those transactions. Whereas if they're in a separate checking account, we would not account for those transactions. And basically you're paying for our time. If you have 50 personal transactions in there, it's the time to move those 50 personal transactions into an account, owner's draw or owner's distribution, that are non-deductible for tax purposes.
Is there a difference in the tax impact if you pay yourself from the business account or just pay your personal expenses directly out of the business account?
That's a good question. There is no tax difference. One is deductible, non-deductible expenses. If you run your personal expenses through the business, if you just transfer the money, that's a transfer that's non-deductible, and pay yourself so that you're paying tax on the profit of the Schedule C.
Sometimes I'm confused by the verbiage. As an LLC, is there a difference between taking a distribution and paying myself a salary?
As a single member LLC, the owner is not on a salary. It's not on a W-2. So the money that's left over at the end of the day, after you pay your people and your expenses and all that kind of stuff, the money that's left over, that is yours as profit, and i.e. what you would pay income tax on for our purposes here in this discussion, that's what you pay income tax on. You can take some, all, or none of that money that's left over and pay yourself, but depending on it, you will pay tax on the profit of the business, no matter whether you take some, all, or none of that money.
So even if I left it all in the business account for the business's use, I'd still be paying income taxes on it because it's the profit in a single member LLC?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Do you know of any way to shelter my LLC from bank account fees? Because when you start a bank account, I don't want to be eating up nickel and dime to death with fees. Is there a way to protect myself from that?
There probably. I think you might need to shop around for banks. Most of them offer some type of free checking, both for individuals and for businesses. They have limits on the number of transactions you can have before their fees kick in. And some of them have some minimum deposit balances or minimum average balances that you have to carry to have no fees. Shop around most of the major banks. Some of the local community banks probably also offer some of those products. Just be very careful about going over any predetermined limits in terms of transactions. And transactions may be money coming in and money going out, not just money going out.
Is there something that you consider to be a reasonable number of transactions? Like, is it 5 transactions, 50 transactions, 500 transactions, after which fees are just unreasonable? If they say you only get 5 transactions, that fee is unreasonable. But 50 is a good number of transactions for a fee.
If you're just starting out, likely you're not going to have a ton of transactions. If you have employees, if you're growing your business, it won't take you long to exceed a couple hundred transactions. It seems like at that point you're going to have an unlimited basically number of transactions, but you're going to have a minimum balance requirement, or you're going to have to incur some type of monthly fee, 15, 25, 35 bucks a month, depending on whatever services you have associated with your business checking account.
In your experience as a single member LLC, what type of direct deposits could a single member LLC owner expect to be able to put into a business checking account?
Your clients will pay you via a couple of ways. So they can pay you, there are apps that are popular now, Cash App, Venmo, those kinds of things. So you may have PayPal, you may have clients that want to pay you that way, and so then you'll transfer those monies into your business checking account. You can send out invoices to be paid via ACH, which is your customer is going to pay you with a routing number and account number related to a checking account. And the third way is a merchant service, like a Stripe or a Square, where you're processing credit cards on a third party, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, and then you're going to get usually within 24 hours, a direct deposit into your business checking account for the proceeds of the sales. Some of them are net of their 2 or 3% transaction fee, and some of them deposit the full amount and then extract the merchant fee the same day.
And all those methods would be considered direct deposit?
All those monies would be electronic deposits into your checking account, not depositing cash or a check that your client writes you.
Understood.
Realize in most cases, in most all of those cases, there's some type of fee involved, so you do not get the full gross amount. There's a transaction fee of 2 to 3 to 4%.
Are there any other pitfalls that you can think of that people they have an LLC, they go to begin a business checking account, and then they step in it right away? That's what you answered.
So the pitfall is to not succumb to the laziness of just running everything through the business checking account or the debit card that is associated with the business. You should take the time, go onto your phone or your app, transfer the money from your business to your personal, and pay your personal expenses out of your personal checking account.
In your experience, it's worth it to take that time?
Yes.
For the viewer, if you remember nothing else out of the whole video, remember this. What would that be?
Remember to separate your finances, your personal finances, from your business.